importance of Yamas. So it's a very powerful sutra. jāti-deśa-kāla-samayā-navacchinnāḥ sārvabhaumā-mahāvratam. So Patanjali calls this Mahavratam. Vratam means a vow. A vow, you take a vow, and they call it's not an ordinary vow, it's a Mahavratam, great vow. These Yamas, because they had to be practiced, you have to take, it's like a vow you take. These are to be practiced universally without being limited by jati. We'll see all these. Desha, kala, samaya, anavacchinnāḥ means not be limited by any of these things. Patanjali is using uncharacteristically emphatic language to stress the importance. Mahavratam. So Yoga Sutras, like I said, it's like a scientific document, like you do a journal. There you don't use sensationalism. You just stress, but you uses like uncharacteristically emphatic language. Okay, we'll see. So jati literally means means to give birth. Jati literally means birth, where you are born. Can be animal species, but here we are talking about human beings. So it refers to class in the society. People are born into that race, this race, or they're born into a higher class family. Some people are born into a poor class family, or in those days in India, they also had the Varna system, the caste systems. Or in that, essentially the caste system is more based on occupation. So class or occupation, jati. Then desha means place, where you are born. It's where you are, or not where you are born, where you are. Then time, kala, which depending, some people say, okay, I will observe all this during these days, but other days I will do whatever I want. So he says, no, it has to be observed constantly without being exempt, unconditioned, non-exempt, without being conditioned by class, place, time, or circumstances. Okay, and are applicable in all places of the earth. Sārvabhaumā, and these are therefore considered great vows because they are non-exempt. So when you say yamas, it is restraints that are non-exempt by class in society, where you are born, irrespective of what your birth is, place, where you are, the time of the day, or the circumstances. This has to be observed. So they are because of the practice of yamas, you get supreme siddhis. Patanjali is going to talk about a lot of this. So the story, the classic story given is that of King Shibi. Some of you may have heard about this story, but I will go through the story of King Shibi. We have to cover other things too, but I'll quickly go through the story of King Shibi. King Shibi was the son of King Ushinara. He was a legendary monarch in ancient India, widely revered as the absolute. King Shibi was revered as the absolute embodiment of compassion, charity, and dharma. He upheld righteousness under all conditions. He was famous for his vow. He has taken a vow of saranagata rakshana, the protection of anybody who seeks refuge. It was known throughout the three worlds that if a being, human, animal, or any being, even a ghost, came to King Shibi for protection, king would defend them even at the cost of his own life, kingdom, or wealth. He had completely transcended attachment to his physical body, anchoring his awareness purely in the eternal Atma. So he was such a great king. And the story is prominently featured in Mahabharata. It is located in the Vanaparva, the book of the forest. And during the Pandavas' grueling 12-year exile in the forest, Yudhishthira often felt despondent about the loss of the kingdom and the difficulty of upholding his dharma in these times of extreme hardship. To comfort and instruct him, sage Markandeya. So remember Markandeya, the one who was always 16. We saw him in the first chapter also. In the creation portion, Markandeya is seen here, and he just sees Bhagavan Vishnu, and he goes into the stomach and he sees the entire universe during Pralaya. And he is the one at 16, he is saved from death by Shiva, and so Markandeya is that rishi. So Markandeya uses the story to show Yudhishthira that even the greatest kings are not measured by the lands they conquer, but their capacity for self-sacrifice and their unwavering adherence to truth. So he is telling Yudhishthira, you have unwavering adherence to truth, and the suffering and all that, don't compare, don't say your luster has not diminished in any way because you're suffering. You are still the greatest king, he's saying. This also comes, this story also comes in the Buddhist literature as Sivijataka. The Buddha recounts a past life as a highly compassionate king. So it comes also in the Buddhist literature. What I'm trying to tell you is this is such a powerful story. And why there's a test. A test was born out of a debate in the celestial realms. The gods were gathered in heaven, and Indra, the king of the Devas, began praising King Shivi, declaring him the most righteous, truthful, and charitable monarch on the earth. Agni, the god of fire, however, was skeptical. Agni argued that it's easy for a wealthy, powerful king to practice charity because he has so much money and protect others when it cost him nothing but excess wealth. He's just giving so much wealth, he's giving away. Agni doubted that Shivi's commitment to dharma would hold up if it required agonizing physical pain and the sacrifice of his own life. To settle the debate and prove the depth of the king's character, Indra and Agni devised a severe moral dilemma. Agni took the form of a terrified dove. Indra took the form of a fierce, articulate hawk. They orchestrated the scenario to trap the king between two extreme conflicting duties: the duty to protect a refugee, the dove, and the duty to not cause starvation of another being, the hawk, because the dove is the hawk's prey. The test was specifically designed to see if King Shibi would compromise his vows, and so we'll see the story. So one afternoon, when the king was sitting in his court, a small dove flew frantically into his lap, trembling and gasping for breath. The dove pleaded for protection, explaining that it was being hunted by a hawk. True to his word, King Shibi placed his hand over the bird and promised it absolute safety. Moments later, a fierce hawk swooped down into the court, demanding its rightful prey. The hawk presented a deeply philosophical argument. By denying the hawk its natural food, the king was starving it and its family. The hawk argued that if the king protected the dove, he was committing violence against himself, violence against the hawk. So King Shibi found himself in a profound moral dilemma. He could not break his vow to the dove, nor could he cause the death of the hawk by starvation. To resolve this, Shibi offered the hawk anything else in his kingdom: grains, fruits, or meat of already dead animals. The hawk refused, stating it only ate fresh meat, and it wanted that dove. But it agreed to compromise. It would leave the dove alone if the king offered a portion of his own flesh exactly equal to the weight of the dove. So, without hesitation, demonstrating total non-attachment to his physical body, King Shibi agreed, and he placed a large balance. The large balance was gotten into the court, and the dove was placed on one side. Shibi takes a knife and he cuts a piece of his own thigh and puts it there. Miraculously, the scale did not budge at all. The dove was much heavier. The king cuts a larger piece and puts it, and he was in agonizing pain, but he was bleeding and he was still unperturbed in mind. Still, the dove was heavier. This tiny dove seemed so heavy. Finally, he couldn't do anything else. He's just bleeding, and he places himself on the balance. At that moment, the moment he stepped onto the scale, the hawk and the dove vanished. In their place stood Indra and Agni, the lords of the Indra, lord of the heavens. Agni is the lord of fire. They had taken the forms of the birds to test the king's vows. They blessed King Shibi, restoring his body to perfection, and they declared that his understanding of the Yamas was absolute. He had realized that the physical body is temporary, but the Atma in all the beings, whether king, hawk, or dove, is equal and worthy of the utmost reverence, and therefore all beings should be protected. Okay, so that is the story of King Shibi and the dove and the hawk.